Hey guys, and welcome back. So 10,000 subs, huh? Took me a while, but proud to say I didn't have to make too many toolish videos to get here. Just one day in the life video and a couple of ones that'll probably get me canceled down the line, but for now, sitting pretty. So I've seen a decent amount of comments on this channel that have asked me for a little bit more background about myself, and that is something that generally speaking, I'm just a little hesitant to provide just because I don't know, the tail risk of doing something like that is kind of high, right? Like one of you guys can just go track me down, get me fired, all that fun stuff. But I will at least explain the origin of this channel, a little bit of my thought process for why I made it, since it's been a while since I've kind of spoken about that from a meta view, and then also where I see this channel going in the future, because of course with 10,000 subscribers at this point, this thing isn't really as much of a joke anymore. I can actually really start to consider this as, like a legitimate hobby or even part-time profession of mine, and just have to think about where that's going to go. So I guess I'll get started by talking about the beginnings of things. So for those of you who haven't done your job stalking me on LinkedIn, I went to Cornell University. I graduated a semester early, and in that semester, I pretty much spent the whole time just like lifting and drinking, and eventually during the daytime, I was like, Jesus, I need to do something with my life. So, previously in my software engineering interviews, I had pretty much gotten bodied by systems design interviews. I'd only had a few, but my first one ever was with HubSpot when I was a sophomore, and they asked me to build tiny URL, and I was just completely lost. Like the subject of sharding came up, the subject of replication, and I had just never heard of those. At that point I had known like data structures and algorithms, and that was about it. So, I knew from basically a long time coming that was something I would eventually have to work on, and I knew I had all of this extra time before starting Google, and so I figured, okay, well, may as well make some good use of this. I know that everyone always touts that you're supposed to read DDIA, or Designing Data Intensive Applications, read Grokking the Systems Design Interview, and then probably you'll be pretty good to go. So it was the first time reading DDIA that I kind of started to get a little bit interested in these topics and, just research them a little bit more. But at the same time, in my first read through of that book, I was like, well, to be honest, I'm actually having a lot of trouble understanding this thing. It took me a super long time to get through it. So, if you're in the same boat, don't be embarrassed at all about that. Even taking notes, I was still having trouble understanding things. The visual images were good, but honestly, oftentimes not good enough for me to fully understand it. And so I ended up fully reading DDIA a second time, all 600 pages of it. And then the second time around, it made a lot more sense. And, that's kind of when it hit me, maybe this isn't so easy for everyone else to read, and perhaps I should actually be making some resources to help people understand it. In addition to that, everyone always talks about grokking the systems design interview, which is effectively just like the equivalent of cracking the coding interview, but for systems design. And when I went through that manual, I was like, okay, this is kind of a piece of shit. Let me go ahead on YouTube, see if there are any better explanations for some of these problems. And to tell you the truth, when I went on YouTube, I was kind of feeling the same way. A lot of the videos were kind of poorly thought out. They're just regurgitating information from grokking the systems design interview. Explanations were poor. Truthfully, I think a lot of the YouTubers didn't even have a full understanding of what they were talking about, and a lot of them also just, English wasn't their first language, so it was hard for them to explain things, and, generally just like low budget, put together videos. So, that's kind of when it really started to hit me. Hey, in addition to actually being able to study these topics a little bit more, get my understanding down better, I could actually try and share my knowledge with some other people. And this was really nice because especially at the time of me making these videos, or at least starting to last summer, hiring was in full effect, things were ramping up fast, and, everyone was looking to job hop, get their pay bump, all that fun stuff. And so that was great. I enjoyed that. And it pretty much all started by me just advertising myself on Blind, getting a little bit of hate for being a little too young, but pushing it out nonetheless. And to be honest, the only kind of blocker to my channel at that time was me being scared of all my friends finding out. At this point, my friends do know about it, and truthfully, the biggest blocker to my channel, or the biggest thing that's stopping me from growing more, is me effectively being scared that my current employer is going to find my channel. Because for what it's worth, I have said some stupid things on here in the past, which if you notice, I'm waning down on that a little bit. I'm obviously still going to try and make jokes here and there when I can, but my blatant idiocy will hopefully go down a little bit. So hopefully that acts as a nice segue for me to talk about what I see as the future of this channel. I have been watching a decent amount of kind of like startup content recently, and one of the things that I've tried to take away from that, specifically from like Y Combinator, Sam Altman, Paul Graham, all that stuff, is that you want to be building a product that not very many users really like a lot. You know, it's very hard to make something that a ton of people like a lot. You can make something that a ton of people like a little bit, but at the end of the day, that's not really a great way to, get growth and be conducive to eventually making something pretty big. So my focus, for the most part, has really just been to make videos that are as high quality as possible, as easy to understand as possible, and I really haven't been too worried about growth as much. If you look at a lot of software influencers these days, you'll see that most of them are on 4 or 5 different platforms, basically just spewing BS to try and tout their content everywhere and grow as much as possible. They're just spitting random soliloquies out on LinkedIn or Twitter or TikTok or any of those things. And truthfully, I'm not into that for a couple of reasons. For one, I'm still 22 actually, and so my profile on LinkedIn is just not that impressive. I can't be like, I'm a staff software engineer, follow me, I have 20 years of experience. I don't, and I'm not going to pretend like I do, so that's okay. But in addition to that, also just, the more that I go on platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, I expose myself to more people in my actual life finding out about this. And that wouldn't be ideal. So I've tried to kind of keep my growth to YouTube, make videos that a small subset of people really, really like. And so far, based on my interactions with you guys in the comments, or even just speaking with some of you guys privately over Zoom or anything like that, I've had really, really good feedback. And that's what I'm mostly proud of. So my goal for this channel going forward, at least in the next year or so, is to continue to make all of these really important videos, or at least in my mind, really important, in order to build everyone's systems design fundamentals. And then after that, I'll remake the videos that everyone really wants to watch, which are the actual problems themselves. Now, I personally am of the philosophy that, if you're going to watch all of these like systems design interview mock questions, like build Twitter, build Facebook, or build tiny URL or anything like that, then you really should know all of those fundamentals that I'm spending all of this time making videos on. The reason being that otherwise you're just regurgitating things and you haven't really learned any of the logic or reasoning behind why you should actually be making one decision or another. At the same time though, people want to watch what they want to watch, and my job is to kind of make videos that kind of align with that. So I am going to do it eventually, but I'm going to make sure that when I make those videos, they're as in-depth as possible. They cover every single decision process as well as possible. And just in general, I really want to make sure that all of those solutions are super well explained and thought out. And so that's how I'm going to try to attempt to make a better product than other people have been on the internet. I don't plan on selling this thing for money. That's not my prerogative at the moment. I just want to help people out. I get tons of really, really nice feedback over LinkedIn messages and YouTube comments of people that actually have gone ahead and successfully gotten jobs after watching this channel. And it's shit like that that really warms my heart and makes all of this worth doing. So again, guys, I do appreciate always when people are like, hey, you should have a lot more subscribers right now. To tell you the truth, that's not my main priority. My main priority is making the best systems design videos out on YouTube, and we can address all that other crap later. So anyways, guys, I hope you have a great week. I am going to do the same. I'm pretty stoked about all of this. Got a lot of goals in the future for this channel, some collaborations coming up as well, and I'm looking forward to sharing them all with you. So I will do that, and I'll see you soon.